All right, guys, listen. This episode is going to freak some of you out. We're diving into a topic that's been around for thousands of years, but for some reason, barely anyone in the West really talks about Islamic jinns. Yeah, jinn, not genie in a bottle, not Robin Williams from Aladdin. These things, according to Islamic belief, are real conscious beings made of smokeless fire. They've got free will, they eat, they drink, they marry, they live in their own world, and sometimes they mess with us. And I know some of you are thinking, Joe, this sounds like a ghost story for kids. But here's the thing. Over 1 billion people on this planet believe in jinn. It's in their holy book. Entire cultures have thousands of stories about these creatures. Exorcisms, possessions, weird paranormal stuff that people claim to experience in modern times. So today, we're asking, are jinn real? Are they demons, aliens, interdimensional beings, or just a psychological phenomenon that people have been misinterpreting for centuries? Let's talk about it. What are jinns, really? First things first, what the hell are jinns? According to Islam, God created 3 intelligent beings: angels, humans, and jinn. Angels are made of light. They don't have free will. They just obey God, like cosmic employees. Humans, that's us, made of clay, full of ego and ambition. And then jinn, made of smokeless fire. Think about that. Smokeless fire that's poetic and terrifying at the same time. Like plasma energy, maybe. I don't know, man. But the point is, they're not ghosts. They're not angels. They're their own species. They live on Earth, but in a different dimension. Now, here's the trippy part. They have free will, just like us. That means some are good, some are bad. Some are religious. You've got Muslim jinn, Christian jinn, even atheist jinn. They live in societies, they have families, they fight wars. This isn't just some fairy tale concept, it's a whole cosmology that billions of people believe in. Where do jinn live? So, where do these things hang out? According to Islamic scholars, jinn live in places that are abandoned, dirty, or isolated. Deserts, ruins, graveyards. Some say they love places with water like rivers and oceans, which, if you think about it, is spooky because humans historically feared the deep sea. Maybe that fear comes from stories like these. They're also believed to be invisible to us most of the time, but they can shapeshift. They can appear as animals like snakes or dogs, and even take human form. Now imagine walking down the street and thinking, is that just a random guy or a jinn pretending to be human? That's nightmare fuel right there. The Quran and jinn. Alright, this isn't just folklore. The Quran has an entire chapter called Surah. It straight up talks about how a group of jinn listened to the Prophet Muhammad recite the Quran and said, "We believe." So these beings apparently have the ability to understand scripture, think critically, and choose their beliefs. That's wild. And here's a big twist. Satan, or Iblis in Islam, isn't an angel. He's a jinn. That changes the whole game. Because in Christianity, Satan is a fallen angel. But in Islam, he's this fiery being who refused to bow to Adam and said, "I'm better than him." So he gets banished. That's the origin of evil in Islamic theology. It all starts with a jinn. Joe gets philosophical. Now think about this conceptually. You've got these unseen beings with intelligence, emotions, and free will. That's not too crazy when you think about parallel universes, right? Physicists talk about multiple dimensions all the time. String theory, quantum mechanics, all that mind-bending stuff. What if jinn are just an old-school way of explaining something we haven't fully figured out yet? And here's another angle. If you replace the word jinn with alien, does it sound that different? They're intelligent, not human, live in a different realm, sometimes interact with us. Maybe abduction stories, ghost encounters. What if they're all just the same phenomenon described differently in different cultures? Not just ancient tales, modern accounts. People claim jinn can possess humans, cause illness, whisper thoughts into your head. There are videos online of supposed exorcisms where people scream in voices that aren't theirs, speak languages they never learn. And before you roll your eyes, remember, the Catholic Church still does exorcisms too. This isn't just an Islamic thing. The idea of unseen beings influencing us is universal. A lot of that is fake or just people having psychological episodes. But here's what I find fascinating. The sheer consistency of these beliefs across cultures. Whether it's jinn, demons, spirits, or shadow people, humans all over the world report similar experiences. That says something. Either we all share the same hallucinations, or there's something out there we can't fully explain. All right, guys, welcome back. If you haven't heard part one, stop and go check it out because we set the stage there. We talked about what jinn are, what Islam says about them, and why this whole concept is so fascinating. Now, in part two, we're going way deeper. We're talking about the dark side of jinn, real stories people swear by, Islamic exorcisms, and then we'll get into the science angle. Is there any way modern physics can explain this? Are these entities spiritual, psychological, or interdimensional? Grab your coffee, grab your weed, whatever you need, because this is going to get weird. The dark side of jinn. Okay, so in Islam, not all jinn are evil. Some are good, some are bad, just like humans. But the bad ones, they're called shayateen, basically the devil's crew. These are the ones that mess with humans. They whisper doubts, try to pull you into bad habits, even possess people. And possession, let me tell you, this isn't Hollywood fiction. Muslims believe it's real, and there are entire rituals to get rid of it. There are countless stories where someone suddenly changes personality, violent, angry, or talking in voices that aren't theirs. And what do? They call in an Islamic scholar or an imam who recites verses from the Quran. That's called ruqyah. It's like the Islamic version of an exorcism. A jinn possession, real-life cases. I looked into some of these cases, and some are just insane. There's this story from Saudi Arabia. A woman started speaking fluent Farsi, even though she'd never learned it. During the exorcism, the voice said it was a jinn who fell in love with her. That's another thing. Jinn supposedly can fall in love with humans. That's terrifying, man. Imagine swiping on Tinder and the dude's like, hey, I'm a jinn, want to hang out in another dimension. And these possession stories aren't just in villages. There are cases in London, in New York, people of all backgrounds. I found videos where during the recitation of Quranic verses, the possessed person screams like they're being burned. It sounds insane, but it's consistent with what these traditions claim. Jinn hate hearing the Quran. Jinn in sleep paralysis. Here's something interesting. You ever had sleep paralysis? You wake up, can't move, feel something heavy on your chest. Maybe see a shadowy figure. In Islamic culture, they call that kabuz, or a jinn attack. Science says it's your brain waking up before your body does. But the experiences people describe, the sensation of being watched, strange whispers, dark figures, they sound exactly like what these cultures call jinn encounters. Now, here's the question. Is it just your brain glitching? Or are you actually vulnerable in that state, and something is messing with you? The answer depends on whether you trust neuroscience or ancient scriptures. Neuroscience says possession is just dissociative identity disorder or psychosis. Paranormal stuff, hallucinations. And sure, a lot of cases probably are. But what about the ones that don't fit? Like when someone speaks a language they've never learned, or when multiple people witness the same apparition. Then there's physics. If you believe in higher dimensions, jinn could theoretically exist in a realm we can't detect. Think about dark matter. Scientists know it exists, but we can't see it. We literally admit that 95% of the universe is invisible. So why dismiss the idea of unseen beings completely? Maybe religion gave it a name thousands of years ago, jinn, and science is just catching up. Joe's what-if theories. Here's my wild theory. What if all these supernatural phenomena, ghosts, demons, shadow people, aliens, are just different interpretations of the same thing? Maybe these entities interact with us in ways our brain struggles to process, and maybe ancient people describe them as jinn, modern people say aliens, and others call them spirits. Same phenomenon, different cultural lens. And think about abduction stories, bright lights, paralysis, voices in your head. That sounds a lot like jinn possession stories, just with a sci-fi spin. I'm not saying that's proof, but man, the parallels are hard to ignore. Do jinn fear technology? Here's a fun question I asked a Muslim scholar once. If jinn are real, do they mess with our technology? Like, can they hack your Wi-Fi? He laughed and said no, but they can whisper ideas to people. And then I thought, wait, what about hackers? Crypto scams? Maybe it's jinn all along. I'm kidding, kinda. Modern day belief in culture. Here's what's fascinating. Despite all the science, modern Muslims still take jinn seriously. It's not like a fringe belief. Scholars talk about it. Parents warn kids not to whistle at night because it might attract jinn. And when something weird happens, like unexplainable illness or objects moving on their own, A lot of people immediately think jinn, but it's not just superstition. There are official Islamic rulings on how to deal with them. Rules like don't try to summon jinn, don't make deals with them. And if you suspect a haunting, recite certain prayers. It's like an entire paranormal handbook baked into the religion. Honestly, I don't know. But here's what I do know. The world is full of mysteries we can't explain. People experience weird stuff, and whether it's psychological, spiritual, or interdimensional, it has an impact. It shapes cultures, behaviors, even law. If billions of people believe something and live their life around it, it deserves to be taken seriously. What blows my mind is how advanced some of these concepts are. Beings from another dimension, energy forms we can't see. That sounds like something out of quantum physics, but it's in a 1400-year-old book. At the very least, that's worth thinking about. Final thought, so my advice, keep an open mind. You don't have to believe everything, but don't dismiss everything either. The universe is way stranger than we think. And who knows, maybe the next time you hear a weird noise at night, it's not the wind. Maybe it's something watching you from the shadows. Sweet dreams, folks.